Kira.
Kira? What does that mean?
It actually means light in Russian and Celtic.
No, it doesn't. I would like to take this opportunity to reassure all parents that most teenage boys don't become mass murderers in order to sleep with the hot girl at school, as the new Death Note movie would suggest. I want to start by making this clear. Whether you enjoyed the film as a popcorn flick, or appreciated the effort that went into the film technically speaking, that's fine. I'm not here to take away your fun. But in my opinion, this film is an absolute mess. Inconsistent characters and logic plague an already muddied canvas of cheap writing and dangerous motivations. Before we go any further though, there's a few things I want to note. I like the original anime and manga very much, but I think it's important to review this movie on its own merits, so I'll try very hard not to compare it to the original source material. It's an adaptation after all, it's supposed to stand on its own, and we should judge it as such. For those that don't know, Death Note is the story of a boy named Light Yagami who finds a magic notebook that can kill people if their names are written within its pages. Light decides the best thing to do with the note is use it to kill criminals and make the world a better place. Death Note follows his descent into evil as the genius detective known as L tries to catch him. Oh, wait a second, sorry, that's the anime and manga, we're talking about the film. So, Death Note is a movie about a boy named Light Turner, who finds a magical notebook that can kill people if their names are written within its pages. Light decides the best thing to do with the note is show it to the hot girl at school so she'll sleep with him. Death Note follows his descent into stupidity as the presumptuous detective known as L tries to catch him.
Kenny Doyle decapitation?
I have, and you sound a little crazy, but I have a death god.
You also just killed a person. Why are you smiling like that? The film opens with Light sitting alone in the school grounds, seemingly writing papers for other students. So obviously the film is trying to say, hey, look everyone, Light is a real smarty. He knows the answers to the tough questions. Well, here's my problem with this. This is the one and only scene the film uses to establish Light as a smart little cookie. It's a nice idea, except if he was as smart as the film is trying to make him, he wouldn't be writing these prohibited papers in the middle of the school grounds. Of course, there's another problem, that being what it tells us about Light's morals. Cheating is a-okay in his book, but that's something we'll look into in a little more detail later. The Death Note drops into Light's life, and so it begins. Light later steps in to try and stop a bully, a courageous act I'm sure you'll agree, except he only steps in when the bully shoves Mia. Clearly, Light wants to be Mia's knight in shining armor, or, I guess in this case, knight in black, edgy armor. It seems this guy isn't worth Light's time. This is something that will become very apparent throughout the film. Light's do-good attitude and his ideas for making the world a better place will always take a back seat when Mia is involved. Of course, Light gets his lights punched out, and ends up in detention as a result of the prohibited papers. Again, not the smartest idea to carry them around, right? But after being left alone in the room, Light is visited by Ryuk, the Shinigami, a god of death. And he screams. For a long time, it's really bad. Ryuk tells Light to write a name and a cause of death. Now, again, we have a very telling scene. Who does Light choose to kill? By this point he's read the rules, and seeing the god of death before him, well, you'd think he'd be pretty confident in the outcome, right? Well, he decides to kill the bully from earlier. Now, look, this guy was probably not a nice dude, and he's a scumbag for everything he's done, but at the end of the day, he's just a school bully. Did he really deserve to die? Yet again, we have a glimpse into Light's morals. Bullies deserve to die. Don't get me wrong, someone should have stopped him, but killing him? Seems a bit much. Oh, and while we're on the topic, let's talk about the gore in the movie. There's only one way to describe it: cheap. These overly bloody deaths add nothing to the film and end up just coming across as desperate. Oh, please, look at me, look at all the blood, look at my mature content. I talked in my last video about how violence in media is sometimes imperative to the story you are trying to tell. Whether it's to convey a specific kind of tone, or use the violence as a platform to pose an interesting question or send a message, violence can be useful. But this? You are not establishing any kind of tone by doing this. It is violence for the sake of violence, shock value in its worst form. As for an important message, well, killing might be wrong? Maybe? Light's second killing is done out of revenge. He kills the man who killed his mother. Now, granted, murder is a little higher on the list than bullying, but what this shows us is Light's selfishness, which ultimately taints the later plot. Light tries to start killing criminals to make the world a better place, but honestly, I don't buy it. Nothing in his morals or motivations have really shown him to be someone that would try to make the world a better place. Instead, it seems more likely he just used the note for revenge and power fantasies. Oh wait, that's exactly what happens. We see Light sitting alone in a gymnasium with the death note. Oh wait, he's not alone. What are you doing? Put the note away!
I just wish I'd seen it. You know, I heard his head spun all the way around.
Oh, actually, his head exploded into 1 million pieces, in case you're wondering.
You saw it?
Mm-hmm.
Death Note? What is it?
What is what?
Your book?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
Do you really want to know?
This is why I don't believe Light is smart. He seems like a dumb kid who just wants to get laid. And so, after proving the notebook is real, Mia and Light team up to change the world.
I killed him.
He's just admitted to being a murderer. Go to the police. There are so many points in this film where I just sat there and scratched my head.
Let me find it a new home. We'll be free of each other.
I'm not gonna give the note to you or anybody else, and if you fuck with me again, I'm gonna put your name in it.
You could try. But I warn you, there are 4 letters in my name. Most anyone's ever gotten were 2.
But someone already wrote your name in the notebook. You may think it doesn't matter, it's only a small detail. Well, to me, it represents the surprising amount of laziness that went into this film. What about the fact that apparently Watari is Watari's real, full name? It's not an alias. He just doesn't have a second name. Even their explanation of where Kira comes from is nonsense.
Kira? What does that mean?
It actually means light in Russian and Celtic.
Where did this come from? Unfortunately, I can't say for sure about the Russian language, though Google Translate doesn't suggest anything similar to Kira. I can, however, say something about Celtic. Now, Celtic isn't actually a language, but a group of languages. And in not a single one does Kira mean light. I even checked moon, since in the original manga, Light's name is spelled using the character for moon. Again, it may seem irrelevant, but there was no need to mention this Russian or Celtic link. Especially since it's not true. It's just lazy to make a film like this. There is plenty about the source material that the film has changed. Its locations, the names of the characters, the functionality of the Death Note, the motivations of the characters, the personalities of the characters, the way the criminals die, the plot, and even the overarching themes of the story. So why did you feel you needed to keep this aspect? Just have the public call him something else. Honestly, the most annoying thing for me is the sick power fantasies that are played out. Light and Mia screw each other while killing people. Hey kids, wouldn't it be cool to have a notebook of death? The girl you love will want to screw you and everyone in school will think you're real cool. That's dangerous. But how does it all end? Well, Light pulls off a smart plan and saves the day. For him. Mia dies. The problem is the character of Light isn't smart enough to pull off the plan. The only thing in the film that shows us he's smart is that scene at the start, but as I said, it actually makes him even dumber when you stop to think about it. The film ends on a cliffhanger of sorts, which irritates me even more. Elle might be about to write Light's name in the notebook for killing Watari, and Light's dad seems surprisingly okay with the knowledge that his son has killed hundreds of people. It's a very open ending for sure, but it feels so unearned after the confusing mess that we've just had to sit through. You don't deserve a cliffhanger when you haven't made me care about any of your characters. As I've said, Light's character is unlikable at best. He kills either for revenge or just so he can sleep with Mia.
There's a guy in the news who killed a couple kids. I thought maybe we could make some popcorn and take some names down for later.
Through all of this, Mia and Light never talk about making the world a better place. It's basically all about themselves. It could be argued that they tried to adapt the story into a Romeo and Juliet thing, which is super dumb. You replaced interesting themes of moral justice with a high school teen drama that has more in common with a slasher than anything mildly thought-provoking. The thing is, it would be possible to make a film like this. A cautionary tale about love and lust taking you too far. But I don't think this film knows what it really wants to be. In its attempt to localize the source material for Western audiences and compress it into the length of a film, so many of the nuances have been lost. The motives are weird and dangerous, the gore looks cheap as chips, the morals are non-existent, and most of all, it's boring. This film somehow managed to make its story less compelling than a teenager sitting in his room eating crisps. Haha, funny memes. Instead of posing interesting questions about moral relativism or absolute justice, the film basically drops the ball and gives us nothing. Instead of leaving the film questioning if killing criminals is right or wrong, we get slasher gore and power fantasies. I cannot stress how important this last part is. Without any sort of moral backbone to the film outside of killing is wrong, it's basically meaningless. And honestly, it's a little undecided about that one too. Not every film can change the world or say something profound, but if you're going to say something, it has to make sense. The manga and anime didn't actually say anything, at least not explicitly. Instead, it was left up to us to determine what was right, wrong, moral, amoral, or something in between. But to me, this film only says one thing. We will be waiting a very long time for a good live-action anime adaptation. Thank you very much for watching my video on Death Note. So what did you think? Do you think I was too hard on the film, or were there things I missed? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the film, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming videos. As always, like or dislike as you see fit, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!